In this video, you're going to add content to the comments section. So for now, let's just add the label and its text area and see how it goes without using a flexbox. So we're going to go back to the index.html file and copy paste the label and text area inside the comments section. So here we go. So that's our text and that's our text area. What we want in the final layout is that the text area expands to occupy any remaining space inside the comment section until it reaches the bottom of this container. And to do that, we're going to need to use a flexbox. So we're going to make this element a flexbox and set its direction to column. So comment is going to be the first flex item, and then the text area is going to be the second one, and we're going to make sure that the text area expands to the end of the column by giving it a flex property. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go back to the styling sheet. So here is our comments section. So just a quick reminder, the flex property that you see here is used for the comments section as a flex item of its parent container. All right, so now we're going to set the display property of the comment section to flex to make it a flexbox itself. And then we're going to set its flex direction to column. And then we're going to go to the text area like this. So you're selecting the text area inside the comments class, and then we're going to give it a flex property of 1. So if you give one flex item a flex property and you don't give a flex property to the other items, then that item is going to take up any remaining space. And this is what happens. So our text area now expands to the bottom of the container, and that's exactly what we wanted. Now let's add some margin bottom to this container by going to the container class and setting margin bottom to something like 1em. So now we've got some extra space at the bottom. And now we are ready to get rid of any background color that we used earlier only for clarity. So let's remove that and that. Now let's go back to the form styling and add some extra styling to the inputs. So this will include these inputs, the text area, and the select inputs. So let's change the background color. So first let's select them all. So inputs, text, area, and the selects inside shipping. You can select it just like that without having to specify the class. Otherwise, you can specify the class where these are located for each one. So I'm going to change the background color to RGBA 138 230 81 0.7. That's the color I used for the final layout. Here we go. Also, let's add a border radius property for these inputs. So let's go for 5 pixels, for example, or 10. All right, that looks good. Now, if you look at the final layout, it looks like there is some extra space right there and right there. So we can create that by giving a margin property to the comments div. So let's do this. And let's set that to 1M, for example. Here we go. That looks better. All right, now we are ready to move to the submit input. So let's copy paste this piece of code. First, let's center the button inside the parents container by using the text align property, which I'm going to set to center. And then let's give the input a background color. So we're going to go to the submit class and then input. So let's give it a background color of deep sky blue. And let's change its width and set it to 100% so that it occupies the full width of its parent. Also, let's change the color of the text. So I'm going to go for this color, for example. Let's also change the font size to something like 1.7 M. That looks good. Now, if you look at the final layout, you'll see that we don't have a round corner or round corners like this. Well, if you want to get that, what you can do is change this input to a button like this. Make sure that you use the closing tag. So it's going to be of type submit, but the value is going to go between the tags like this. And then you can go back to the selector and select the button instead, like that. So that looks better. So let's compare our current layout with the final one and see if we missed anything. So it looks like these two elements are not centered. So let's go back to our styling sheet and see how we can fix that. So I'm going to go to the checks div and set the text align property to center. All right, that looks better. And also let's add some margin on top of that. So let's set the margin top to 1M. And that looks better. So let's have a final check and make sure that everything is okay. Perfect. So the button is slightly different. So let's see what we missed. It's actually slightly bigger in our layouts. So let's remove the border and see if that helps. So I'm going to set the border property to none. So you can see that the button has now become smaller. So let's compare it with the final one. And now it looks exactly the same. All right, perfect. So if we check our form, we can see that it is responsive. So the first container, which is a flexbox with a row direction, does create a new row when we reduce the width of the browser, and that row goes right there. The comments section goes all the way down to the bottom of that container. Also, our button is pushed to the bottom of the form or the bottom of the browser. So congratulations, you have just created a fully responsive form using Flexbox.